Hey guys, Ray from Lovey RV and Boat. So if you've been following me in the last little while, you've known that I've been testing a Renogy off-grid system for my RV. I took out what I had and kind of installed a basic system here and did a few videos on the installation. I'll link it back in the description if you missed that. And also been testing their new ShadowFlux solar panels. So in this video, I'm back with sort of an update after actually using it out in the real world environment for about 6 weeks. And we went out and did some early spring camping, kind of cloudy, rainy, and in a treed provincial park campsite. And also I've been using it in the sun as well, testing some things. So we'll go over the system and I'll let you know how it's performed and what may have gone wrong. So here we go. First, we're going to go to the off-grid campsite, and then I'll come back and we'll look through the system and kind of do a conclusion. So here I am, kind of a typical forested campsite. I do have some solar power potential, but not a whole lot, especially this time of year. We're in mid-March. So I've utilized the Renogy 400 watt panels, and I can move them around as the sun moves around and try to capture some solar power. Also on the roof I have the 940 watts, multiple different small panels, and they're wired in parallel, so if one's getting sun and the other's totally shaded, they don't really affect each other. So the solar harvest right now isn't very good. In the summer I could just rely on solar. So that's where I need to still have a gas generator and the DC to DC inverter. So the gas generator, as you saw in my install, I just plug into this socket here and it goes to this converter charger that can put out 60 amps. And then I just have a little 2000 watt inverter generator. So park hours here are 9 to 11 in the morning and 6 to 8 at night. And with that 60 amp charger I can put back quite a bit of energy into the Renogy lithium battery, because it'll take very well the full 50 or 60 amps constantly. The other thing I do when moving between campsites, I have wired in a cable to the back of the truck here that I can plug in, this power pole connector, and then that goes up to the hitch and it finds its way inside the rig there, and then down into this DC to DC Renogy charger. So when I'm driving the truck along, not only can I get solar from the roof, but I can also put 40 amps of charge into the Renogy battery utilizing that. So if I'm, 3 or 4 hour trip, I can put quite a bit of juice back in. Just show you the ground panel here. I have a wire that goes out. It's a fairly long wire, so I can place it in different places. It goes into this plug here. I modified an old 30 amp cable because it has 10 gauge wiring, and put it through there. And then it goes down and hooks up into my solar system, running in parallel with the rooftop panels. So far everything's worked quite well. I haven't really been able to get too much solar power, so I've been relying a lot on the charger and the generator to fill up this 240 amp hour Renogy solid state lithium battery. And then we've been utilizing the 2000 watt Renogy inverter, and that's mainly so we can keep things like AC things. Our Starlink runs off of that. A few odds and ends. Ann's computer, my laptop charges off of that. Some of our camera batteries we need AC power to charge. I've been running an Instapot a couple times, toaster, and also our microwave. So on the microwave I have located a problem. Sometimes when, especially in defrost mode, I can hear the magnetron cutting in and out, and sometimes this will go into shutdown. So I'm actually going to pull out this inverter and kind of isolate that and see if I can troubleshoot why that is happening. Whether it's my install that's causing the problem, like I'm losing DC voltage here is sagging too low, or the AC has a problem. But I'm going to do that and come back and let you know what's going on with that. So right now it's pretty badly overcast, but with all the solar panels out there, I'm still bringing in around 7 amps or so, which during the day a lot of times we're not running much, so it kind of keeps us even. We're not draining the battery, we're just kind of breaking even. If the sun does come out, right now if it was full sunshine in this campsite, I'd see oftentimes up to maybe 20 amps. There's a lot of trees and stuff, so not every panel is going to be on at once, but yeah, you can see where having a lot of panels can really help you in these treed sites, and especially with the clouds. Even though it's overcast, I'm still getting power. Go. So that's the output on the microwave. Seems when it's on, the voltage actually will rise as high as 124. Normally it sits at 118. Let's try the defrost mode again. Yeah, you can see it bounces up to 124 at times. There we go. So it kind of seems in the defrost cycle when the magnetron cuts out and the voltage drops, and then it triggers a shutdown in the inverter. So I'm back with a quick update on the Renogy power system that I put together probably about 2 months ago. I've been testing it on and off, gone out a few times dry camping for weeks at a time, and I'm back with an update on it. Right now I've got the 2 ShadowFlux 195 watt panels out. Overall, I find if it's kind of mottled shading on them, they don't do quite well. If you get kind of straight lines right across them, they do very well. Let's just go and show you the rest of the system in here. Right now I have the app running so you can see what kind of solar I'm getting. Looks like around 229 watts. It's about 5 o'clock right now, so we're not getting full sun. When we get full sun, I can see about 400 watts out of them. Anyway, that's going into this Renogy Rover controller, and it's performed well, no problem at all. I have its add-on Bluetooth, which is very handy, so I can monitor my solar. I have maxed out its 40 amps. On the roof of my RV, I have 940 watts, so it's able to kind of feed that into this controller, kind of over panel it, and it worked. It would only put out 40 amps. I wouldn't really advise over paneling it too much because these things will start to run hot, so it's constantly having to derate itself and run very hot, but it was able to do it. So I think if you were going to go much beyond 500 watts or so, you'd want to get a bigger amperage one, a 60 amp or 100 amp or maybe 240 amps. Anyway, it works fine. Of course, my DC to DC charger I've had for a while, no problems there. Now I did have a problem with the inverter. So obviously you see, if you watch the other videos, I had a 2000 watt inverter in here. And I found out that 2000 watt inverter couldn't properly run my microwave. Everything else was fine. It would power everything in the RV, you know, our computers and everything, TV, that kind of thing, with steady power and all that. But if I went on the microwave and tried to defrost something especially, it would go into shutdown. I'd get a light here, basically would overload it, and it would start beeping. So I guess in the microwave, when the compressor was, or the magnetron would turn on, it would instantaneously draw too much current for that 2000 watt inverter, even though my microwave is only rated at 1350 watts, but that instant current was sort of the problem. Anyway, Renogy's solution was to send out a 3000 watt inverter, and no issues at all. I've basically ran 3000 watt inverters in my RV the last few years and haven't had any problems. So if you're going to be running high wattage appliances, it's probably best to go with their 3000 watt versus their 2000 watt. And then their battery, their solid state lithium battery, has been fine, no complaints at all. It's 240 amp hours, so for me I found that a little kind of low capacity for the amount of stuff we power in our RV. We have a Starlink that runs all the time, computers and stuff like that. So for me, I would probably get 2 of these. Before the other battery systems I had around 560 amp hours. So yeah, I think 2 of these would work well, 3000 watt inverter, and then maybe double up on that. But that's just my use case. I just wanted to kind of start out with a system that most people could get going with easily, kind of a simple off-grid system. So everything's performed well, except like I say, that inverter would shut down, but it wasn't a faulty inverter, it was just, it couldn't handle the output to power my microwave. And then in here I have, if you saw in the previous videos, that's my charge converter that I use when I'm off grid. I'll plug my generator in, and that will charge the batteries there. So not a bad off-grid system, especially given the price compared to some of the more high-end stuff out there. Anyway, keep watching, because I'm going to take those ShadowFlux panels, and next I'm going to install them on our boat. They're 195 watts each, and they're going to replace, on the boat we have a pair of 100 watt panels. And the reason I want to use them on the boat is we have a mast and a bunch of mast lines that cause straight lines over the solar panels when we're spinning around at anchor and stuff like that. So I'm going to be interested to see how much better they perform versus the existing panels. Till next time, Ray from Love Your RV and Boat. Cheers, everyone.